This has been the week of the big pivot. We pivoted from August to September, from summer to fall, from vacation to obligation. There's a feeling that pivoted. During the summer, the feeling is light and breezy, and back to reality, the feeling is an alarm clock that wakes us up to face a schedule. It's back to school, back to shul, in a few weeks, back to the holidays that invite us to do some serious things like taking stock of our lives. And that is all wonderful, but it is also all very different from going to the beach, and it's different from going to a concert at Tanglewood. It's different from climbing a mountain in New Hampshire, or from enjoying the greenery of Vermont, or enjoying the waters off of Cape Cod, or Nantasket, or Nantucket, or Martha's Vineyard. It's just different. So on the other side of the pivot, here we are. How do we make peace with the daily grind? How do we make peace with our daily grind? And I'm reminded of a story that I first encountered a long time ago. It was actually in 1995. It was in a collection of stories called A Second Helping of Chicken Soup for the Soul, edited by Jack Canfield and Mark Victor Hansen. And it was about a guy that was called the Happy Toll Booth Collector. Now, the Happy Toll Booth Collector sounds like an oxymoron. And this story is so old that the reality that it describes largely no longer even exists. Toll booths and toll booth collectors who work in them. But if you can remember a time before transponders and before easy passes, you actually had to round up quarters to go through the toll booth. And if you didn't have quarters, you gave a $1 bill or $2 and they'd make change. And that was a hard job and a tedious job. But the Happy Toll Booth Collector would play music in his toll booth, and he would dance in his toll booth, and he greeted every driver, and he actually loved his job, and it looked like he loved his job. So the editors of this Chicken Soup for the Soul interviewed him and said, "Your job is so tedious. How could you be happy in a toll booth?" And this is what he said. I quote, "I don't understand why anybody would think my job is boring. I have a corner office, glass on all sides. I can see the Golden Gate, San Francisco, the Berkeley Hills, half the Western world vacations here, and I just stroll in every day and practice dancing." Now, toll booths have largely disappeared. But the need to have that kind of a robustly positive outlook on who we are every day, on what we do every day, that never goes out of style. And I want to invite you to think about your September. Think about your back to school reality. Think about your daily grind. Because what we all have in common here is we all face a daily grind. If you are a student, your daily grind is back to school. It's homework, it's papers, it's exams, it's labs, it's pressure, and it's doing all that schoolwork while you also have extracurricular stuff that you also want to do. It's a lot. And if you're parents of those students, you've got a daily grind. You've got your own job, your own life, your own deliverables, and you want to support your kids, and you got drop off, and you got pick up, and you have meals that never end. It's a lot. But it's not just about back to school that gives us a daily grind. If you're a caregiver, your daily grind is the 36-hour day. If you are a doctor, your daily grind is the reality of modern medicine. If you're a lawyer, your daily grind is the billable hour and having to find clients and keep them happy. If you're in sales, the daily grind, it never ends, is hitting your numbers. If you're a writer, the daily grind is that blank piece of paper or that blank computer screen. What am I going to write about today? No one gets a pass on the daily grind. Everyone has the daily grind. Even and especially when we retire, we have the daily grind. Because there is the problem of not enough time, and there is the problem of too much time on my hands. And I hear that all the time from folks who retire. I loved it for a week or two, and now I have too much time on my hands. What am I going to do with my time? Why am I here? So no one avoids the daily grind. And our question is, how can we do our own version of the happy toll booth collector? Whatever it is that you do on Monday morning, how do you find it deeply meaningful and deeply joyful? Now, here is where Judaism has one of its most luminous ideas. Don't miss this. This teaching has got to be, if there's like a top 10 teaching, this is like number one. There is a midrash, and it asks the question, what is if you take this, the Torah, is there one verse that is just by far and away the most juicy, evocative, helpful, important, consequential verse? What's the most important verse in the whole Torah? And this midrash offers us three candidates. The first candidate for most important verse in the Torah is that we're all created b'tselem Elohim, in the image of God. Now that's undeniably important. If we're all created in the image of God, then everybody possesses infinite dignity because we're all created in God's image, and we should treat each other accordingly. Very important, but the Midrash says no, not the most important verse. Second verse that's offered up is Va'ahavta l'reacha kamocha. You should love your neighbor as yourself, and on the basis of that, Hillel in the Talmud teaches, famously, that what's hateful to you, don't do to your neighbor, or a flipped version of that is treat others the way you would want to be treated. Obviously important, but not the winner of the most important verse competition. This is, according to the Midrash, the winner of the single most important verse in all of Scripture competition. It is Exodus 29:38. Here we go. V'zeh asher ta'aseh al hamizbeach. Now this is what you shall offer upon the altar. Kavasim b'nei shana, shnayim layom tamid. 2 yearling lambs a day, lambs that are 1 year old, 2 of them every day regularly. That is the most important verse in the Torah. Now, obviously, this needs some explanation. How could this verse about animal sacrifice possibly, under any universe, be more important than we are created in God's image? How could it in any universe be more important than treat others the way you'd want to be treated, or what's hateful to you, don't do to somebody else? How could this animal sacrifice deal be so important? What is this midrash and this verse, in fact, trying to teach us? And here's what it's all about. It's all about this ritual called the Tamid sacrifice. The word Tamid means every day. And in the Bible, there is this a Tamid sacrifice. It's every morning, and it is every night. And the person who offered it up was a Kohen, a priest. And it actually took a lot of work. The priest had to remove the ashes from the previous sacrifice. Then the priest had to prepare this animal for sacrifice. Then the priest had to offer it up in a very solemn way. And that's twice a day, every morning and every night. Now, there are times when the priest is into it and the priest wants to do it, and that's great. But what happens when the priest is tired, or the priest is distracted, or the priest's attention is diverted? What happens when the priest is depressed? What happens when the priest is worried about his kids, or the priest just had a fight with his spouse, or the priest is worried about his aging parents, or the priest is worried about his own failing health? It's one thing to offer up that sacrifice when you're feeling it and you're in flow. Anybody can do anything when you're in flow. But what happens when you're not? Then what happens? And if it's going to be tamid every morning and every night, then that means the Kohen has got to do it, even and especially when he's not feeling it. The Kohen has to do it when he'd rather not be doing it. The Kohen has to do it when he'd rather be doing anything else. He still has to summon and mobilize and catalyze the energy to do it. And why would he do that if he was depressed or distracted or just plain tired? And the answer is because the Kohen believes that there is a large, noble project, and that large, noble project is always valid, even if I'm tired and distracted and depressed on a given day, and I'm going to take my daily labors and my daily efforts and connect it to this big, large, noble project. For the Kohen, it was maintaining the relationship between God and Israel during the wilderness wanderings through this morning and evening, twice a day sacrifice. So, back to the Midrash. Here's what it's saying is the most important teaching in the Torah. Have some large, noble project in your life. Believe in something. Believe in something big. Believe in something hard. Believe in something noble. Believe in something that is lifelong. And that thing that you believe in, that is more important than how we feel on a given day. Our moods come and go. Our energy waxes and wanes. But our large, noble cause is true. And it deserves and it demands our constancy when we're feeling it, and especially when we're not feeling it. In other words, the best way to make peace with our daily grind is to find deep meaning in our daily grind. The best way to make peace with our daily grind. Summer is over. The beach is over. Cape Cod is over. Tanglewood is over. The Berkshires is over. Vermont, New Hampshire are over. It's September. Is to find deep meaning in our daily grind. And I saw a movie that embodies this tamid, this everyday, whether you feel like it or not, sacrifice. It's a movie called Turn Every Page. And it's about the writer Robert Caro, who has written to date 4 hefty tomes about the presidency of Lyndon Baines Johnson, LBJ. And the title of the movie, Turn Every Page, is a double entendre. That is to say, Caro turns every page. He researches exhaustively, meticulously. He leaves no stone unturned. And as a result, he has these tomes that are page turners. The readers turn every page. In fact, his 4 books, Robert Caro's 4 books on LBJ, are that rare crossover. They're critical successes. Historians applaud them. He's won 2 Pulitzer Prizes and 2 National Book Awards. And they're very popular books. Hundreds of thousands of copies have been sold. And here's the basic theme of this book, which is to get at the mystery of LBJ as a president, because on domestic policy, he was one of the most impactful, successful presidents in the history of our country, and yet Vietnam was a disaster. And so Robert Caro's life work is to ask the question, how could he be so amazing with senators and so timid with generals. And he starts doing this work and he realizes, I can't find the answer in books. He has to go to Texas, where LBJ was from, because in order for him to understand LBJ and the mystery, he had to see what it was like day to day to be LBJ, to live that life. So Caro is a New Yorker. He leaves New York, the comforts of the big city. He goes not only to Texas, but to the hill country of Texas. He lives in a ramshackle hut with his wife for 3 years. For 3 years, he lives in poverty to experience the day-to-day poverty that shaped a young LBJ and his siblings and his parents. So in a very real way, he's like the Kohen. He might not enjoy it every day, not living in New York, living in a ramshackle hut, but it was in service of a large, noble project. Understand LBJ, this mysterious president. Roll the film forward. He's now 89 years old. And the editor that he had worked with, Robert Gottlieb, has died. And every day he's still at it. And at the end of the movie, you see him working. He wears a suit and tie every day. He writes every day with a pen and a white 8.5 by 11 legal pad, his first draft. He then types every day on a Smith Corona Electra 210, every day. No computers, no digital shortcut. And to date, he has written 951 pages. And they say to him, you're 89, your editor, Gottlieb, has died. Can you hurry it up? Can you shorten it? Can you accelerate? And he says, no. I believe in what I'm doing. I do meticulous research. I write slowly and carefully. It's up to God whether or not I finish this. But I'm going to wake up every day, and I'm going to do this. In other words, he has turned his daily grind into a daily Tamid sacred offering. As we pivot from September to the real world, may we do the same thing. We are what we do every day. We might as well turn our daily grind into the Tamid, filling our lives with joy and meaning and purpose. Shabbat Shalom.